Trusty ape, trusty ape. Let's see what it'll still let me do. No overlays. Yeah, StreamYard won't let me do much. Alright, here for a little unstructured stream time. And testing the Wi-Fi. My first time streaming from this location. Today is Friday, December 6, 2024.
Why is everyone spiraling over YouTube banning ad blockers? Like, chill guys, just use Pi. It's a free Chrome extension that's actually made by one of the founders.
The NYPD is hoping that the release of these surveillance photos will help them find the person who shot and killed the CEO of United Healthcare. The images come from a hostel where that person of interest was staying. Investigators say that he wore a mask throughout that visit, but showed his face when he was flirting with a worker. Brian Thompson was gunned down by a mass shooter Wednesday morning outside a Midtown Manhattan hotel. Investigators say the suspect arrived at the hostel 10 days before the shooting. They believe that he used fake New Jersey driver's license to check in.
There's some strange things about it. I don't think it was a professional. Certainly, the one shot was a...
This is a mass shooter? I thought he targeted this guy, but I haven't really read the full story.
Kill shot. And there was only another shot that hit him in the calf, and a third shot missed. That's not what professionals do.
Law enforcement sources tell ABC News that a message was also discovered on the ammunition found at the scene. The words delay, deny, depose were written on the bullet casings. A possible motive has not yet been revealed.
Huh.
And Omar Jimenez is out front live in New York City. He is in front of the hotel where Brian Thompson was shot and killed, the Hilton there in Midtown Manhattan. And Omar, what is the latest?
Said boss. This is kind of the first little downtime I've had here in a little while. And finally on the Wi-Fi out here. It's been a long couple of weeks. Getting through a lot. Basically, I am staying over here most of the time. Not been home much. It's a little slow. Hey, good morning, Mikey. Good to see you. If anybody wants to come chat, it's going to be a shorter one, but put that in there. Maybe doing a Christmas drive, trying to collect some funds for Christmas presents. If anybody out there is able to support, dono links down there. Oh yeah, probably 3 hours behind, yeah. It's 9:16 a.m. here. early morning. We got the kids off to school. So my girlfriend has 4 boys, and we're working on putting some structure in place. Getting them in a routine. So we got the kids off to school, and finally got a little downtime. Well, we got 3 of them off to school. The other one hasn't started school yet. He's a little young, so. Oh, and we got Mikey in the back. Hey, Mikey, how you doing?
Evan, how you doing?
I'm good. I am doing really well.
Yeah, are you feeling better?
Yeah, I've been doing great. Just spending a lot of time over here with my girlfriend and the boys, and yeah,
Sweet,
it's
sweet.
been like a whole new routine going on now.
Yeah. Uh, I just wanted to let you know I'm glad that you and I are still getting along and friends and everything. I wanted to mention something about Viking, but she's not talking to me anymore. Somebody said something to her and said, "Well, we shouldn't be talking anymore," and I was like, "Wow." I'm just kind of blown away by that.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard a little bit about that. I don't want to get too involved.
I understand.
But yeah, it's I guess some people mesh and some don't. It's like,
I hope they don't think of. I hope they didn't think of me as a stalker or something. Because, like, I'm still, as far as I can see, I'm still friends with her. Well, thought I was on Facebook at least. But yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. But so you know, but you know what? It's water under the bridge. I'm not worried about it. Yeah,
yeah, it's just that thing. Some people just get offended, and there's not much you can do about it.
yeah. I hope it wasn't. Like I said, I hope it wasn't a question of my personality or character or anything. I was kind of worried. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what's been up with you lately? Other than that, anything going on the
Well,
channel?
it's been I'm sorry, it's kind of dark back here, and Suzanne's off. She went to go get some last minute groceries and stuff for this month, so that she doesn't have to do a lot of shopping. It's been snowing, so we do have some snow up here. It's 25 degrees outside,
That's
25
cold.
Fahrenheit. Yeah, oh, yeah. Well, I mean, how cold is it for you there in the Bay? What's going on there?
Let me see. Today's a little warmer. It's been really cold out, but let me see. I think it's probably in the
Oh, yeah,
40s right now.
in the
Yeah,
40s? Sounds about
actually,
right.
it's 52 degrees right now.
Oh, 52. Okay. That
Yeah.
sounds about right. Were you affected by that tsunami warning, that earthquake the other day?
No, I heard some of my friends further inland
North?
got some of
Hmm.
the aftershock.
Oh, they
We
did.
got the
Uh,
tsunami warnings all across the bay, but nothing
yeah.
ever really came of it. I think we just had some big waves, but we didn't see anything. We had a lot of people freaking out though. Yesterday, I was working on a college campus, and we had parents calling from all across the country, like, "What are you guys gonna do?"
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Well, there's not much we
Yeah.
can
I
do,
I
but
was
wait
watching,
it
yeah,
out.
I was watching some of their shots, of Great Ocean Way, Pacific Beach out there, number one, and everything. And I know my parents, like, I had memories, my parents would take us kids there, and when we were living there for a short while, and and then when we went back to visit relatives until they all passed away. But yeah, I mean, I even took my wife there one time. We were passing through California on our way back here to live permanently in Canada. And I showed her where I lived, my old house and everything. And and took her down to the beach, and she touched the water. I don't know how she did it, but she managed to walk herself over and touch the ocean. So she's been to both oceans. I haven't been to the Atlantic yet. I'm still trying to get. She's still trying to get me there to Newfoundland, where she's from, because she's a native Canadian, and so I'm
Right.
trying to get there so I can touch the Atlantic Ocean myself and say I've been to both oceans. Haven't been there yet
I've been
though.
out there once. I had family on Long Island. We went out there, but I was really, really young. I was like 2 or 3 years old, and I don't really remember
Oh,
it. So
Long Island, New York. Oh, cool.
yeah,
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it still counts. Even though you're so little, Atlantic Ocean, it still counts. Yeah. Do you do a lot of swimming out in the ocean well, when did you say you moved to the bay? Oh, when
oh,
was
we
the
moved
time?
here when I was like we moved here when I was 2 years old.
A year or two. Okay.
Yeah, I don't really I'm not big on ocean swimming. I'll dip my feet in, but yeah, no, that's just I mean maybe with a wetsuit or something, which I've
Right?
never
Oh
had
yeah,
one,
yeah,
but it's just too cold for me.
yeah. Yeah, I know. I thought at one time when I took my two trips with just my folks, we went to Hawaii, 2 years in a row. And one time I spent was in Kauai, and then the other time was right there in the Big Island. Well, not the Big Island of Hawaii, but the actual Oahu, place, Honolulu, whatever. Uh, it was warm. The waters Pacific then were really warm, right? So they weren't so cold. Uh, but I remember just going out there and swimming with just regular trunks and you know and shoes. I always wore shoes because I mean I wore tennis shoes when I'd swim because they had the what do they call them? The blue notes. Those little, I don't know if you've ever come across these things. They look like jellyfish. They're like really small,
Hmm.
and yeah, and if they sting you, it doesn't. I mean, it's not dangerous. It's not deadly or anything. But when they sting you, it's kind of paralyzing, and you're really in a bad way. And I went on this when we went to the place there in Kauai where we stayed, they brought us on a one of those tours. We went out there. We're in the middle of the ocean. They had a sandbar. It was really weird. They had this sandbar in uh, Kauai Bay, I think it was. And so we're out there and we're just playing volleyball, whatever. And then this one yell, uh, can't talk today. Sorry. This young gal comes over, and all of a sudden you hear her go, "Ah!" She goes like that. We look over, and she got stung. So then, you know, the rumor is, I guess the urban legend is that if you get stung by a jellyfish, the first thing you're supposed to do is pee on the person. I guess that
Oh
came
yeah.
from, yeah, from SpongeBob or some shit. I don't know. SpongeBob SquarePants. So I was like, no, 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 no. They brought her on board on the little tender boat we had, uh, and little cruiser boat we had. And they said, no, no. What you do is you pack. What they did is they packed her leg. She had been stung a couple times. What they did is they packed her leg into ice, and then they had to reduce the swelling, and then they brought her in. She was better. She was better after it. So I mean, it wasn't too severe or anything. But yeah, but I always made sure I kept my shoes on for that. And then I did the stupid thing when I was over in Oahu. I found one of those sea turtles, right? Very cool sea turtles. I'd never seen one in my life, right? It was just this whole big thing, creature. It's swimming underneath, and I go over and I'm just now. You're not supposed to. Here's the thing: in Hawaii, when you have sea turtles, you're not supposed to touch them. And if you do touch them accidentally, you just kind of let them go their way. You don't do anything. So I'm just standing there in less than 10 feet of water in the ocean, the Pacific Ocean, and I'm going by, and here comes this big, huge sea turtle, and I go down just to kind of touch it a little bit, and it grabs onto me, like its shell, literally, like I get one of my hands cut underneath. So then the thing's dragging me, but I don't know
Oh
this yet.
wow.
Like I'm just kind of like blah, 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 blah. I get all the way out about a mile. outside of the beach, the beachfront. I look over, I'm a mile away, about a mile and a half away, and my dad is screaming his, "Oh, hey, bro, Joe, how's it going?" And he's screaming his ass off, going, "Mike, what the, beep, 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 what are you doing out there?" And I said, "Oh, Dad, I don't know, man. I had no idea what's going on." He said, "Well, you better get back in." I said, "I'm trying." He says, "Well, just watch out for the riptide." I think I might have got undertow, the undertow, the current was like really bad that day for whatever reason. And I got knocked off, like I got knocked down like about 3 or 4 times. I'm all bruised up. I don't have I didn't have any breaks in my skin or anything, but I just got really bruised up. So when I got out, I was like, I look over and I saw how far I was out there, and I was like, I'm just surprised I didn't. I mean, if I had been hit by the blue notes or some kind of jellyfish, it wouldn't have bothered me. But if I had been bitten by a shark, because they do have great white sharks out there. I'm
Yeah.
not kidding. They exist, just like they do, outside of San Francisco Bay. They're all there. I said, I know they exist. So I just dodged, you know, I just
Or
dodged the
any other
bullet
number
and
of
got
sharks
back
that
in.
could have taken a
Yeah,
bite out of you.
could have taken a bite out of me. Yeah, sure.
That's
So
crazy.
that was
I've
harrowing.
never heard that though. So the
You
turtle
never.
kind
That's
of
right. Oh man.
grabbed
Yeah.
onto you.
Yeah. Well, it's weird because it was a female sea turtle, right? And the female sea turtles are really defensive, right? They look after their eggs and things. So I
Right.
think she maybe thought I was an intruder and just kind of brushed against me. But then my hand got caught underneath her shell, which I didn't intend on. That's how I got dragged out. And she went fast, and I was like, I don't know what she was doing. But when I looked back, like I said, here's the beach, like almost 2 miles away, and I'm out in the middle of the freaking ocean, barely moving. And I'm like, wow, yeah. So that
Yeah, that's
was
a long
that was
ways out.
insane. Good memory, but yeah, thankfully I didn't get bitten in half by a great white or one of those sharks. So hey, Captain Desk,
Hey,
that's good to see.
Captive Desk and Projo, good to see you guys.
Yeah, I haven't seen Brojo's 420 Cafe in a while. I used to attend some of his live streams, but I hadn't seen him in a while. I hope he's doing all
Yeah,
right.
always a good time over there.
Yeah,
I thought he was streaming yesterday, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I've
yeah,
been kind of tied up too.
yeah.
Still going.
Still good. And
Yeah, I just a lot of the times now I peek in from my alt account because I'm not logged into this one all the time because I get just so many notifications. It's crazy.
oh yeah, you have two channels also on YouTube.
Yeah, so I have this channel as my main channel. Then I have my philosophy channel, which I just renamed Answers in Stoicism.
Hey, Captain.
And then I have my personal account, which just has my real name on it, but I don't use it to stream anything.
Cool. Yeah, I recently on my channel I recently did a stream. I call it I call them JASs, which means just another stream. I've done 7 so far. It's just me, I just kind of throw myself out there and talk about different topics and things that go on. Nothing political or anything like that. Um, even though I live here in Canada, I could have voted in the last election that Trump won, but I didn't. I chose not to. Um, yeah, it's
So I
just
just read this morning, I guess really interesting. Democrats just flipped the House, so we thought it was going to be packed with Republicans, but
right.
we did get a representative in there.
Yes. Yeah. So let me ask you something. What kind of job? What kind of job has London Breed been doing for you guys for as being the mayor?
Well, as far as I mean, I'm not in the city, but as far
Right.
as I know, she's pretty well liked. I don't know about her policies though.
Uh-huh.
Um, like there's a lot more compassion towards the unhomed and things like that. Um, but at the same time, there's been, I think, under her, there's been a lot more crime going on and stuff like that.
Oh,
So
crime. Yeah.
yeah,
He called
I
it,
think she.
yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Go
Hmm?
ahead. No, I
I
was going
think.
to talk about Elon Muskrat for a moment. That's what I call him.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, but he called. I saw this article he had on YouTube. Real quick. It was like a short or something. He was in the middle of an interview. Somebody cut it into a short, and he said, well, San Francisco. He says there's homeless people who literally live right outside his offices there in the city, and he says it looks like a ghost town, and he sees all these homeless around, and he says we got to do something about them because they're just forgotten people. And I said, yeah, well, I mean, the situation is not that much better. Well, I lived in Arizona before this, and 7 years ago, and Arizona has its own what they call the zone, you know, and they had all these homeless people living there, and then they were all forced out. The city got sick and tired of it and said, "No, we got to get them out of here because we need to, you know, uh, make some improvements in the situation around the Phoenix area, which was in downtown." And my parents were telling me about it, and I was like, "Oh man!" And then I watched some of the news articles and stuff on it, from here. And I mean, but it's everywhere. I mean, we got homeless people here in Toronto too, in Canada. It's not like, it's not like America has the dibs, on homeless
yeah. I mean,
situations. We got
it's all
that
about the
every city.
numbers.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all about the numbers. It's like so. San Francisco is one of those places. It varies from block to block. Like you can be on one block, and there's clubs and all of that, and they push them off of that block, and then the next block will be like a residential, and they'll be lined up all the way down the street in tents. I know up here, I'm in the North Bay. A lot of what they've been doing is trying to push them into the parks. So they've given up the city parks, and so
Oh,
some of those are just devoted to letting them have their little tent cities. And the plan is to build more shelters, but how or when they're going to do that is kind of who knows. We
up
have
in the
built
air.
there's a bunch of houses now here for that they're trying to get people into apartment houses now. So we just built like this whole apartment complex, and they have a system you go through, and you have to stay a certain number of months in the shelter, go through the process, and then they'll get you into your own apartment, get you lined up with a job if you're able to work, and things like that. But the problem has been that they have to be able to go into the shelter, abide by the rules, stay clean off of drugs. They don't even really require them to stay clean. They just can't bring drugs into the shelter, and a lot of them
Yeah.
have trouble just doing that.
Yeah. Do you still work with as a security guard, right? You still there? Still
Yeah,
working?
yeah.
Oh, good. Thank goodness. Yeah.
And
I'm
actually,
glad.
we,
I'm
we
glad that
work
you're
with
still
one of
working.
those programs. I actually work with one of those programs sometimes in that shelter that I'm talking
Yeah.
about. So I have firsthand experience with that.
Is that like an outreach program, form of outreach?
Well, no, you get referred through the homeless outreach program. So we have one spot in San Rafael where they can go and take
Oh, I know
showers
San
and get
Rafael. Yeah.
food and social services, and then from there they get referred over to the shelter. But yeah, again, they have to abide by the rules,
Oh,
and
well,
it's
yeah.
it's yeah.
They got to stay clean and yeah, and other things, right? Totally get it. Yeah. So what you're saying is, well, let's say Golden Gate Park. So they're allowing Golden Gate Park to have some of their tent residences, or if they get a chance.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. Yeah, it's I just remember going to the Japanese tea garden when I was a kid. I love that place. My mom and dad loved to bring me and my siblings there whenever we got a chance, and have Japanese tea and all that stuff. Just a lot of good memories. And you know, I have to say though, when I brought Suzanne to the city to see it and everything, we went down. We did most of the touristy thing. We went down to Fisherman's Wharf and saw some attractions there. I took her across the bridge a couple times. We were staying over in Mill Valley, so we had a nice Holiday Inn Express. It was over there on the other side of the bridge. As you get onto the one and the separate one,
Right.
and we had our pets with us at the time. We had our cats. Well, they were really just young kittens. They were growing up a little bit, but yeah, we had some of our cats with us at the time, and they got to stay there for uh, very reduced price because what you do is you make your pets support animals, right? And when you take them with you into a hotel or motel, whatever, the place has to honor the contract that they signed, either with the Humane Society of America or whatever. And so we were lucky to find this place that was on the other side of the bay and of the Golden Gate Bridge, and we spent about 3 days there, and it was a lot of fun. And back then, I mean, the homeless situation did exist, but it wasn't as bad. So I guess I could say in the last 7 years, something must have got worse. The economy or something happened. Well, then of course, there was a pandemic that didn't help the situation any either. You know, and when we were up here, when we getting settled, um, both my wife and I caught the thing, the disease. So we both have gone through it. We've done all the shots and everything. So
I
at least we
know
got through that.
lately another issue has been a lot more people move out here for work because there's better paying jobs. And but then even with the better pay, they still can't afford to live here, so they end up working here and then having no place to stay.
Hmm. Why do you think that is? Why is the cost of living so high? I know for a fact that one of the main reasons that Suzanne and I finally decided to move back to Canada, for one thing, because she only has to pay less than it's a disabled bachelor pad type apartment where we live in with our two current cats, Moon Pie and Deja Vu, and it's less than $150 a month Canadian, and it's disability. We get a disability paycheck every month, and that helps to pay for the rent, but also hydro, their water, their sewage, their electricity, all of that's included. So and trash, all of that is there. Um, but we were living, the last place I lived in was there in Arizona, was in Scottsdale, Northeast Scottsdale, and I was paying less than 900 a month, and that was for a nice one bedroom, well, with a fireplace. Don't ask me why I had a fireplace type apartment in a state that has over 300 days of sunlight a year and 100 plus degrees. Don't ask me. I don't know how in the freaking heck I ended up in a place like that. But anyway, so before we left, we were getting our renewal. I was getting my lease renewal, and I've been there for a while, never caused any problems, no trouble or anything. And I get this lease renewal, and it says my rent is such and such. And they said to me, I would need to work 3 jobs. I was already working 2 jobs, and Suzanne was helping me out with her disability paycheck because it could be circulated down to the states from Canada, so it worked that way, which was nice. It was nice. But I mean, I was working 2 jobs, one in the morning, one in the afternoon and evening, and then I'd come home, and then and then she's there, and then we had other different cats back then, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, they're telling us, okay, they're going to raise the rent up to about, this was crazy. It was up to about $1,300, close to 1,400, and you had the policy had changed. You had to work at least the equivalent of 3 jobs just to earn 3 incomes, and that also includes disability. So if I had got a third job, which would have probably killed me, and her thing, that's 4 incomes, and then we would have barely been able to afford the place we were living in. Plus the neighborhood was getting worse. There were murders, people getting shot at, and everything was going on. And I said, no, 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 I can't live this way anymore. And so I got out. I got out before the lease ran out. You know. paid all my
Yeah,
debts, got everything taken care of, and then I moved here to Canada. And I found out also that physically that was a great move because if I had stayed back in the States, we wouldn't even be talking. Like I said, I told you numerous times, I would have died. But Suzanne saved my life. So when I came here, I found out I had type 2 diabetes. And I was like, and like her. And I was like, okay. Um, for whatever reason, God saved my life. And my wife helped out, you know? So,
yeah. So the policy is, I know, and I think this is at the discretion of the renter, um,
yeah.
is that you need to make whatever your monthly income needs to be three times your rent.
Triple.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do you believe that you and your girlfriend and her sons are living in a pretty good, decent place?
Yeah, I mean it's a decent place. It definitely needs work. I mean, for this area, it would be
Hmm.
considered, less desirable
Right.
for certain reasons. But for our purposes, it works. Um,
And that's all that matters. That's all that matters is that it works for them. Yeah, that works for you guys. Yeah, like I said, here we're in a very low income housing. We're in an apartment type building, but it used to be a home place, for seniors. It used to be one of those, you know, not really a nursing home, but more of just like a, small hostel and so on. Oh, and then
I
what
would
what
say
brought
that
you to there?
growing up, rule in the 70s and 80s, the rule of thumb was 1 week's salary to cover rent. See, that's
It's true.
reasonable.
That's true. I mean, my parents did that with us kids, with us four kids. Plus, back in the 70s and the late 70s and early 80s, we still had issues with not rent so much, but with food, water, things like that. And we lived on food stamps. We did the food stamp thing. That's when food stamps were a thing. We lived on that. And that was tough. But I mean, you know, we did what we could, and thank God, my parents were strong. They come from a strong family, both families. They did, and raising us kids, they raised us right. They were firm. They did do a lot of discipline, which was necessary, but we got through it, and everything was just fine. And those values, those core values that I learned from my parents, and thankfully, uh, you can say that only of a few families, not a lot of people. You can only say it a few. So for those core values, I was able to make something of myself. My parents, encouraged my siblings, my brother, my other two sisters to make something of themselves, and they did. And we're all in a pretty good point. You know, we're all in a pretty good space right now. Um, I have to say, this is definitely the smallest place I've ever lived in, but look at me. I mean, I'm almost 60 years old, my friend, and I'm getting older, and I know that. No, my joints aren't working much anymore. I use a walker, for rehab purposes, and I try to get around, things like that. Um, yeah, but I mean, for like I said, for our purposes, like you say, for yours, which is great. You seem like you're doing fine and looking good and everything, and happy, and we're happy. I mean, like I said, we got our cats. We have, me and my wife, and the only really, I would say probably the only real difficulty is that we're over 3,000 miles away. We have no family out here, none
Yeah.
whatsoever. My wife's got one good friend. That's it. I don't have any friends up here in Canada at all. Um, I share her friend, and everybody is down in the States. And my parents aren't getting any younger, obviously. I mean, my dad just turned 80 years old. My mother is 78. I mean, yeah, and I mean everybody is around trying to make ends meet. It is. I mean, I'm glad they're making ends meet. I'm glad my families are strong enough, but we've lost people too. Everybody loses people, and it just seems it's hit us a lot harder. Um, and that's what they're doing. They're doing the best they can. Uh,
Yeah. So to be fair, I have not moved in here yet. I've been staying here a lot.
Well,
But
that's
like
fine.
I still have my room down in the East Bay. If I were to
Yeah.
move in, I would have to downsize quite a bit because we're already kind of tight for space here. I would have to, we'd have to
Right.
consolidate our stuff.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
But I mean, you seem happy. You seem happier.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's been great. Like this past month has just been it's been awesome. Like just
Yeah.
so much going on, and this keeps me really busy. I'm glad to be back in doing the family routine. I've missed it a lot. It gives me a great sense of purpose to be here for the
And
kids.
you're standing in as dad, to help
Yeah,
out your girlfriend and her sons, right?
yeah,
So that's a good thing. I'm really, honestly, I'm very happy for you guys. We still say prayers for everybody, even the ones like Viking Silver that may not like me much, but it's okay. We're still thinking about everybody that, for the holidays, and I have to say it's been a wonderful experience. I mean, this is the longest time I've ever been married to one special person, in my life. I had two previous failed marriages. They didn't go so well. But luckily, I guess maybe, by some miraculous, uh, you know, thing of fate, I never had actual human, children. I never got a chance to be a dad, which is, I don't regret it. I mean, the girls that I have right now are considered our daughters, even though they're cats, even though they're four-legged, and black Persian cats, and yeah, but they're family. I mean, they're still a part of us, and my parents, regard them as our feline kids. So which is nice, and yeah, there's been, like I said, some people have passed away lately. Some of my best friends who I know for years and years. One of them, I won't mention his name, but he just lost his mom, so both his parents are gone. Suzanne lost hers when she was 18. The last person that she lost was her actual natural dad, her mom before that. So she really didn't get to experience too much, you know, after she lost somebody. But my brother-in-law lost his mom, this past year, so he has no more parents. Like I said, my other friend, he just lost his mom, so he has no parents. Um, but they're all adopted into my family. My mom and dad are, devout Christians. They're Carmelite ministers. My wife, I think I mentioned before, is a minister herself. She works for the Universal Life Church. I feel blessed. I feel blessed that I have, uh, people I can talk to. If I have problems, I mean, I go through depression all the time. I have Asperger's syndrome. Uh, I do have a form of ADHD. I'm a bad, I'm a mess. Sometimes I get really, I get into a real emotional distress. But thankfully, I've got a beautiful wife in Suzanne. She's there for me. The cats are here for me. That's why they're so important to support animals. I tell people nowadays, I say, look, if you're going to go travel, make sure you take your support animals with you, because in most cases they'll get to stay for free because they take care of you, right? They're your pets. They take care of you, and anywhere you go, and it's all you have to do. It's a one-time offer, and when you pay for them as support animals, it's through perpetuity. So it's through the rest of your life. That's what I recommend to anyone. So yeah, if you have pets.
I want to say great to see you, Halcyon Kaiju. Good to see you there.
Oh yes, hello, Halcyone Kaiju. Oh yeah, I
And
just saw you pop in. Good to see you.
I wanted to
Yeah.
check this out. I don't know exactly what this is about, but what do you think about UFOs, Mikey?
I've seen
You
one.
think we've got
I've
UFOs out
seen
there?
one. I've seen one. You might remember the Phoenix lights from March of 1997. I was driving the freeway. It was an
Your
early
health
part of
is
our
your
freeway.
biggest asset. Find Anthem Blue Cross
I didn't.
plan starting
Sorry,
at
I'm trying to
$0
pause
a
this.
month. Apply in 5 to 10 minutes for a secure future.
There we go. There.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you saw
just
a UFO?
I saw, well, I saw the actual UFO. It was in a upside down V shape. It was flying. It was briefly. I won't go into too much detail, but I was driving back home. I had done some karaoke singing down in Chandler, which is south of us, and I'm driving back up on State Route 101, which goes in back into
Are you a
Scottsdale.
man who is feeling trapped in his life?
What the hell just
And
happened there?
and anyway, so just coming back home, and all of a sudden, um, I there's barely any vehicles on the freeway, which is kind of odd for that time of night. I didn't really think anything about it, but I'm just driving down, and all of a sudden I see this huge object. Can't explain it. Now, I tried out for the Navy. I'm a historian of sorts. I know about vehicles. I mean, like helicopters, planes, a drone, anything like that. Well, even drones didn't exist back then yet. So I mean, but I know about flying objects. Okay, I know what they are. I know what flares are, which is what they tried to explain it as. The government said it was flares. That's bullshit. They were not flares. This thing is huge. It's flying over Camelback Mountain. I'm watching it, but I'm also, I'm trying to watch the road, obviously. But I didn't see a lot of cars, like I said. And I'm watching this object, and it's over Camelback Mountain. This thing has no sound. The thing is hovering literally over this mountain peak that we have there, and it's flying right over it. And I know other people were watching it. I know they were, and it just oh my god, it just totally freaked the heck out of me because I didn't know what it was. I thought it was, you know what, at first I thought it was some kind of stealth aircraft, right, that might have came from nearby Luke Air Force Base, which is over on the west end of town, or maybe it came up from uh maybe it was flying back to its other base, which is at the time was Davis Monthan, which is down there in Tucson. But honestly, like I said, this was not a stealth. It wasn't even a stealth aircraft. It wasn't like a SR-71 or anything like that. This thing was unknown. I had no clue, and the thing is just moving across at a pretty good space. I mean, a pretty good pace. And I couldn't hear a single sound, like no, anything like that. Nothing. It was just like the whole thing. It freaked the hell out of me. I thought it almost looked like a miniature. Have you seen? I know you've been down to the bay there, right? The East Bay, and you've seen, um, in Oakland, you've seen like those destroyers, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
destroyers or cruisers that a Coast Guard cutter has, or things like that. And this thing looked like an oversized destroyer, and it's out in the middle of nowhere on top of the this mountain peak, like I said, and it's floating, it's hovering. Like the thing is just going like this and hovering. To this day, I still can't explain it. I can. And I mean, I told you before, I think, I'm pretty sure, but I've only told a few people. I mean, I haven't even, I don't, you know what? I didn't even mention it to my parents. Because if I had said something to my parents, they would have said, what? No, no, and I mean, people tried to disregard it. I mean, let's be honest. I don't want some men in black or some mysterious person knock, knock, knock on my door and tell me, at my apartment that I didn't see anything. You know what I mean? That's the whole that's the whole story anyway. But yeah, that's Camelback
Share
Mountain
this with.
Share is okay. I don't know if you've ever been to Phoenix, Arizona, Share, but if you picture it, Phoenix is almost in the center of the state. It's in what we call central Arizona. And if you go just a little bit east of the city, there is an area called Dreamy Draw Dam, which was built by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, which also is a mysterious spot. Not to go too much into detail for that, but that was built by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers back around the late 1940s, right around when Roswell happened, supposedly. So you have that, but when you go before you reach that, Camelback Mountain stands out. It's right there, and yeah, I mean, it was just like I said, it was just looking like an entire like a form of stealth craft or secret craft, but it wasn't a stealth ship. It wasn't a stealth plane. That's what I'm saying. It looked like it because it had its upside down V shape. And if you watch stories about it, it was on March 13th, 1997 when it happened. So if you watch those stories, and there was this lady who took a picture, took solid video, which can't be faked. They can't explain it to this day. Well, even the governor himself at the time, Fife Symington, he saw it. He saw it. He said, "I can't explain it." He said, and this man, Fife, was in the military. He couldn't explain it. So, I mean, if I was in the military for a short time. And I know he
Yeah.
was in the military for a long time, and a lot of other people that may not have been in the military couldn't even explain it. And there were a lot of witnesses that night to it. And I was like,
Well,
wow,
I mean,
it's
we do
nuts.
know like the government tests, a lot of stuff, especially in that area, out there in
Mhm.
Arizona, Nevada.
Yes.
Our government's constantly doing testing on new
Yes.
aircraft and stuff like that, right? So,
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's definitely one possible explanation, and not even military personnel for the most part is going to know all about that stuff. Um, I wanted to read some comments here. Halsey says, sometimes I have the urge to stream, but I get nervous that I'm not sure what to talk about, and also I'll be boring. I'm sure you will not be boring. I
You
agree
won't
with
be
Sherry.
boring,
You should go for
do
it.
I? I've been to some of those. I've been to some of both Trusty and I have been to some of those streams that you do, and yeah, you're not boring, not at all. No.
Yeah, it's like jumping in the pool, You just get in there
Yeah,
and,
you just
and
have to go
start
back into
swimming.
it. Yeah. No, I
Yeah, Captain
started.
Des.
I started streaming. It was April. Well, I have two channels on YouTube. One is inactive right now, but it's still kind of active because people look at it and everything. That one that I had ended back in December of 2014. It was called Warlord Fade. That's still out there. And then I waited. I went on a 2 year, oh no, a 3 year, almost, yeah, 3 year hiatus from like 2015 to 2000. I guess that's 2 years anyway. So I was on a hiatus until about November of 2017, and that's when I started this channel, Mikey Sus 4. But we didn't actually start really streaming until April of last year, 2023. That was the first time we really just started streaming. And well, Trusty knows, Kevin knows, I had a terrible piece of shit computer, but for some reason I was still able to
Yeah,
talk to
yeah, it was
people,
it was
and
bad for a while.
it was bad. It was bad. And then, earlier this year, Suzanne, in her loving grace and everything, got me this wonderful computer I have right now. And I thank her for it every single day. I mean, I'm going to be paying it off for a while, not too much longer, but I'm thankful. I'm thankful for all the little gifts I get, every once in a while. And like I said, we've been streaming since then. So it's been over a year. Yeah, year and a few months.
So, Mikey, Captive Desk, that's Dave, says, would like to have you on the Grassman Chronicles to share your UFO story.
Yeah,
There's the email there, and the,
awesome.
the YouTube channel. If you'd want to reach out to Dave there, yeah,
Okay. Yeah, and it's Gmail, youtube.com, / at Captive Desk 3168. Yeah, Captive, sure. Next year I can I'll send you information. I'll just remember you have this posted and I'll write it down for myself. April's my channel anniversary too. Yeah, well, I was thinking I could even relate the story to you on your April stream if you want. We can do that. Yeah, because it stands out to me and to this day. I'll never forget what I saw because it wasn't frightening. Let's put it that way. I've never had any real uh, you know, close encounters of the third kind or fourth kind or any of that. Um, this was just for me. It was an experience. I'm sure I'll never forget. I know where I was. I was driving. I slowed down a little bit. I'm watching this thing. It was, I was like several of the thousand people that were just watching this object, across the entire state. I mean, it started. It's weird. It did start from part of Nevada, but it came in a south. easterly direction and just kind of went in the diagonal. I was watching some of the news reports about it. So it came in a southeastern direction. It passed over Prescott, which is outside of Phoenix, and then it was coming into the Phoenix area. And it was just, crossed over certain landmarks. And Camelback Mountain is considered a landmark there. And they have this one rock outcropping called the Praying Monk, which is still there. And this object is covering it. It is completely over this thing, in the darkness. And you could still see it. It had all its lights, you know, and it looked, like I said, it looked like a boomerang. It looked like an upside down stealth boomerang, and it's just no sound. I mean, you don't hear helicopter flap 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 rotors or anything like that. This thing is going right across in a southerly direction. It's going steadily across the whole of the city, and I know people were watching it. So, and they even shot video. Well, even there were like we have three major news stations that were operating at the time, and every one of those news stations couldn't explain it. And then when the government came out later on and said, "Oh, they're flares," no, no, that's bullshit. No, no, you can't convince me of that. No way. I've seen flares. I've seen like lights of that are like flares or fireworks thing. We all have, but yeah, no, these things were not. No way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very large
Uh,
structure you're talking about.
it's
Like
it was
it's not the
huge.
usual
It was
flying
it was
disc or
huge.
something. Yeah.
No, no, no. This thing was, like I said, if you can picture a boomerang, and when people throw it and it's like upside down, but it has all these lights. There's a huge article about it. Well, actually, there's a whole documentary about it on YouTube. I've downloaded it. You can go find it for yourself, but the Phoenix Lights. But it's amazing. It's amazing. This one lady, can't remember her last name, but it started with a K. Uh, but her first name was Lynn, and it was Lynne. And she's the one who started being able to photograph and then eventually take some video of this thing. And she can't explain it. And she said, I mean, you know, I don't consider myself a native Arizonan, but I did live there for over 40 years of my life. I've seen planes. I mean, I've seen things that flew from, like I said, from Luke Air Force. I've seen them over there at Sky Harbor Airport. They have, International Airport has their own military, um, you know, hangar there at the international airport. You've seen C-130, transport planes take off. Uh, I've been to air shows. I went to this place one time as a kid, Deer Valley Airport, which has very small, and even Scottsdale has its own little private airport, with planes and helicopters and things like that, and emergency helicopters, and even I've seen Apache black helicopters before, so I know what they look like. This was none of those things. This object was none of those things at all. It was completely unknown. I was flabbergasted. I was like, "What the hell is this thing?" I have no idea. To this day, like I said, it's been 27 years now since I spotted it that night. 27 years, and I'll still
Was
never
that
forget it.
1997? It looked like from what I was just
Yep,
reading.
yep. Phoenix Lights,
97.
1997,
Yeah.
March 1997. Yeah, yeah. It happened,
Okay.
I believe, on the 13th. Yep, there they are, right there. Yeah, yeah. I can't explain it. I have no idea what they were. They did, like I said, they did a whole documentary about it. They showed it in the theaters and everything for a limited time. It was on certain. It was in all the theaters in Arizona. They showed it to people. Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, yeah. See, even BuzzFeed did a thing about it, and I was like, BuzzFeed tried to explain it, and they said, "Whoa, no, 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 there were no flares. No, there's no fire. There's nothing that's coming out of it. It's just lights. It's just a big, huge thing of lights. Exactly what it says there. Exactly what it's. That's what I saw. That's what I saw. Like all of the lights. What Buzz is showing there. Yeah, it is so insane. And like I said, I haven't told very many people about it. I tend to keep to myself because, um, because like I said, the image is still with me. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy. But yeah, I would love to talk with you. Hi, Suzanne. Hey, baby. He just came in. Say hello to Kevin. Hi. Yeah, Suzanne came in. Yeah, we could watch this if you want. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, March 13th. There it is. Yeah.
Yeah, we just had a bit of a snafu here, so
That's all right.
my girl just came in too. She's got to leave,
Uh-oh.
so that was unexpected. So sorry about that. So I had the background noise there and stuff.
Yeah. And I don't
Had
mind if
a
you want to catch
forgotten
up on your
appointment.
chat here a little bit. I know Cher was talking about the moon. Yeah, yeah. Oh, thank you, Captive Desk. Thank you. Yeah, well, when we're talking about 1997, we're talking about, like it says here, original VHS tape. VHS still existed before you got into DVDs and things. Yeah,
Yeah, VHS. Right.
yeah, VHS. Yeah.
Bro, just was thinking about renaming my original channel, which has 3K subs but dormant. I didn't even know you had another channel.
Hmm.
You should post the link there, Bro Joe.
Yeah. Yeah, spooky, sure. Yeah, definitely. I don't know. Do you remember earlier this year they had the Harvest Moon? Yeah, the Harvest Moon was really Cher was really bizarre to see that, and it was there for a while, and then it just kind of disappeared. Then it came back. Yeah, looked almost brownish. It was weird. I've never seen a brown moon before. I haven't seen a blood red moon before yet. Anything, but yeah, it's weird. You
Yeah, I
okay,
know. I
honey?
saw.
Yeah.
We had some kind of strange coloration going on the other night, but we were having like some bad fog here too. So I don't know if it was just my location. Um,
Oh, hi,
Bridget
Sandy.
doesn't want us on his business channel. Hey,
Hi,
Sandy.
Sandy. Yeah, I love Sandy. Sandy, Kaiju, Brojo, Captive. Yeah. Yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna
good to
let
see
this
all of you.
play
I know
for
I
a
haven't seen you
second.
guys and gals in a while. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, if you want to go ahead
I'm
and
gonna let
play
this
it,
video play for a second, and I'll be right
go
back.
for it. I'll put myself on mute for.
You can see this light flickering over our mountain over here. We're looking at a light that's now appeared again. It's come out in a different place. Definitely far away. South Mountain. There's two of them. Here, we finally hit Pater. Now we've got two of them in the sky on South Mountain. South Mountain. Figure this one out. There's a double. There's a third one. Hey, Sue? All right, you tell me what it is. Oh, what do we got? Hey, Sue! Take a look at this. I hit pay dirt. Finally. Submit it for your approval. What have we got here? This is South Mountain. That's the city in front of us. Those lights have appeared.
Well, that is a totally different configuration than we've ever seen before.
Yep. I'm sitting over here saying to myself, I got the camera. Oh, now that one went out to the
one went off
to the left.
To the east. Yeah.
To the east. The time is about 10 o'clock, Sue?
Yes.
10 o'clock, March 13th, Thursday night.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? Look at that. And they all went on in a sequence, too. Now, the thing that puzzles me is they can't be ordinary streetlights. They're going off now, right?
Yeah.
One drop.
Went off.
The thing that's amazing is that it must be so bright that they would carry, because we're looking at about 25 miles away. The middle one now.
There one. Oh,
another one. There's another one.
Yep,
last
there
one.
Was one.
We have the last one left. Still burning.
And usually we've seen them over.
It's gone.
Oh. There it comes.
We're now looking at the same scene that we were looking at the nighttime.
Yeah, no, he's showing us the day view. That was highly unusual.
Give you the angle, an idea of the surroundings.
Definitely not flares. That's crazy.
Right? Yeah. That's like, I know you've seen Kevin, and I know I have. Sometimes when the military does training exercises, and I'm not denying that they do those kind of training exercises for whatever reason in the region, in the Southwest region, and they've done it in Nevada, things like that too. But what's so weird is these do not work at all like flares. You saw in that video, they're there. Like this is an object of some kind with lights on it. It was not going out, and then as they were going out, they were going out in a very odd way. But it had a pattern. It had a distinctive pattern, like I said, like this. This is how it was flying overhead. Was just like this. I know this is not the best way to to demonstrate it, but that is exactly how it was like going over this mountain that I saw at Camelback, and then it went to South Mountain. So he must have caught it just after I spotted it hovering over the mountain near Phoenix, and then it was going south. Yeah. So that, yeah, Cher says that's crazy. Yeah, it was. It was. I don't know what it was. I certainly don't know what it is or was. I don't. They even had. I'll mention this quick too. They had one of my friends, Frank Straka, wanted to be involved in the Phoenix City Council. He knew this one lady. Her name was Frances Emma Barwood, and Mrs. Barwood was really concerned because she had seen this object herself, and she knew what it wasn't, or what she didn't know what it was, and she knew what it wasn't, and nobody was explaining it. She called Luke Air Force Base and asked if they were sending up a few F-16s to take a look at it, and she wasn't getting any response. And she was a member of the Phoenix City Council at the time. So Frank told me that they went, she went to the military, and she went to the governor's office, 570 at the time, and made a formal protest about it. She argued about it a couple days later in Phoenix City Council chambers. It's all on record. Everything is there. and still didn't get a reasonable explanation. And then Simon came out and did a mockery of it. He brought out a guy in a alien suit, and said, "Oh, we caught him and everything," But even Simonton later on in the documentary claims he saw it himself and said it's not a military aircraft. He knew that himself. He'd seen it, so he couldn't deny it. And they never, to this day, they never got a formal explanation, um, other than, like I said, the fact that some of them said they were flares, so they were on a test exercise, and I'm like, training. And I'm like, no, no, nope, you're lying. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, there's over at least close to 5,000 people in the entire area in the city that could see it and knew what it was. Could see for what it was. And this lady Lynn, who is a photographer, a documentarian herself, and also she works in the medical field, and she did this whole documentary about it, and it was just it's fascinating. I mean, it's one of the they can to this day they consider it the most intense uh, identification of a UFO in one place, and the amount of people that saw it outnumbers more than any other persons that have seen objects, either in the past or present or future, if they see them in the future. It was the most exposed air, object. We don't know what it is. None of us can explain it. They even had a reappearance of it a few years later. I don't know if they mentioned it later on, but they had a reappearance of it later on around I think it was either 1999 or 2004, and it's a similar object. They can't explain it, and it went over not the whole state, but like part of it, and yeah. So, like I said, no explanation. Nothing was offered. Government came up with some mock thing and said, "Oh, it's a flare." No, it's not flares. No. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they have some firsthand knowledge of it or had something to do with it. You know what I mean? It's just a
I'm
yeah,
almost certain of that. I'm almost certain of that. The fact, like I said, the fact that they didn't have two F-16s, they were on standby. Don't get me wrong. They were ready to intercept this object, but they never did. How come? How come they never decided to go up there and see it for themselves? Their planes were on standby. Why didn't they take off and go up there and view it as a threat, maybe?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to. Oh, what you said?
Yeah. Oh no, my wife said that this thing was. I described this object to her, and then she's seen the documentary with me. She said, "Oh yeah, this thing was huge in the air."
Why they don't go up there and investigate?
Yeah, she said ET will kick their butt if they go up there to investigate. Hey, who knows, right? Hey,
So I
crazy.
wanted to check out this video from Daily Dose of Wisdom. It's this UFO deception. An NDE researcher explains the missing piece in UFO
Okay,
sightings.
yeah, let's take a look at that.
And I'm just going to show us an ad here. Oops.
All right.
See if it doesn't freeze on me. I think it's loading now. Nope, it's going back to the Mud Fossil University video. The second time that's happened. I wonder if he took this video down. Huh. So it keeps going back to the next video in my playlist.
Hey, hello, this one guy. Hello.
Hey, Todd, good to see you. Been a while.
Yeah, Todd. Yeah.
Got a snafu going on here I'm going to have to go check on.
Um,
I was only supposed to be
do you want
streaming
me
here
to go
for an
check and
hour,
see if that,
and
yeah. Do you want me to see if I can do settings and see if I can and present it myself? Let me see if I can find it. You said it's under
yeah,
daily
if you
dose
can
of
find it,
wisdom.
I don't know why it just keeps.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the channel.
Uh-oh. We just lost a America's Got Talent guy, starring comedian dead at 39. Wow. That's weird.
Oh wait,
Okay.
I think we may have figured it out.
Did you?
Let's see if this is gonna. Oh, yep, here it is.
Oh, you got it? Okay.
Forming in excess of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 genes. Whatever the hell it is, it moves in a way that would turn a human being into jello if they're inside of it.
Okay, so the template that you're using to understand this is like science fiction, right? These are an advanced race of beings from somewhere else.
What do aliens, psychedelic experiences, and NDEs, or so-called near-death experiences, all have in common? Well, in this video, we're going to answer that very question. We'll begin with a video that CNN put out earlier this week. Also, parental advisory for this episode. Not all the information is appropriate for little ears. With that being said, let's begin. Mysterious lights over Capitol Hill causes UFO panic in DC, sparking concerns that extraterrestrials could soon plan a coup. And you can see the lights there. Another video taken from further away seemingly confirmed the phenomena. And I'm now going to play a couple clips from Congress here. This is recently, and I just got to say, listen to the attempt at destigmatizing.
One of the most important actions that can be taken relative to exposing the truth of UAP is to combat the stigma. And this is where I believe that NASA can be eminently helpful. As the saying goes, the truth is out there. We just need to be bold enough and brave enough to face it.
The truth is out there. He's literally quoting from X-Files. It's raising a red flag for me, I'm going to be honest. There's other anomalies, or there's things that don't make sense at all in an interplanetary scenario, but that do make sense in an interdimensional or spiritual scenario. And so what I'm going to do in this video is give you guys a few of these breadcrumbs. So first we're going to play a clip from the Joe Rogan Experience, where I'm going to let you guys just hear this man explain his own psychedelic experience. And then I'm going to play for you guys a recent piece of a conversation that I had with John Burke, who is an expert on near-death experiences. Again, these two pieces, in my view, work against the interplanetary hypothesis and towards the interdimensional or spiritual hypothesis. Now, I recognize that even the language itself that I'm using here is problematic because there is sort of like a linguistic cultural barrier that has to be overcome in order for this alternative hypothesis to be sensical.
Bro just says the video's choppy.
Yeah, I was just explaining some of the things that Brojo thinks it was drones, US military. Well, no, you wouldn't be wrong if you said that, Brojo, but what I'm trying to let you know is I've seen the balloons, the ones they were talking about, from Project Mogul, which they thought would explain the Roswell incident. That's not true. Because I've seen those. I mean, I've seen those balloons. Okay. I saw like, I've seen them up there and outside of Flagstaff. I've seen them run tests, weather tests, things like that. But that can't classify what this object I saw. couldn't classify as them either. And also, I did say to Brojo if he thinks it was drones, I said, well, drones don't stay perfectly in formation like the lights did. Yeah, they can hover. Yeah, drones can hover, even if it was an early form of a military drone that can hover. But they can't travel all together the way they did across the Arizona skies. The direction they went in was perfectly a diagonal. The way they traveled and everything. Yeah, no. So, yeah, Brojo, I have been to a few drone shows up here in Canada. We've seen some drones like fly over Lake Ontario. Yeah, I've seen them. So I know it wasn't that object wasn't them. I just know that. I tried to compare. I tried to make the comparison. Yeah, it was a little choppy too, Cat. But yeah, yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see if I can find the actual. I could find the actual documentary and see. Hold on here. I know I have it downloaded somewhere. The full movie. Here we go.
So I posted that video for you guys. So what this guy is saying is basically he's hypothesizing. He thinks that like UFO sightings are the same as near-death experiences, or there's like it's an interdimensional thing going on, or spiritual thing. It has nothing to do with necessarily like extraterrestrials.
Okay, so Shatner is narrating this. It's only about 5 minutes long, so I'll share the screen here. Okay, here we go, and we'll just put that there, and I'll hit right there.
Turning southeast into the state of Arizona. Because most of the sightings were reported by the residents of Phoenix, the incident is known as the Phoenix Lights.
For me, it was just another night. I was
There she
at
is.
home. I was
Link
upstairs in our
Keitel.
bedroom, and I'm lying in bed. I see 3 lights pop up. I grab my video camera. I run outside on the balcony, and I did capture video of formations of these lights or actual craft arranged in a V or triangle. We're talking mile to 8 miles wide, gliding silently, some at a distance, but most at rooftop level. Some people said they could have thrown a rock at it. It was that close.
Phoenix is a city of about 5 million people. And here they are looking up and seeing this immense UFO flying at fairly low altitude, quite slowly. This was a sighting on almost unprecedented scale.
The giant V-shaped object reportedly hovered above Phoenix for 3 hours before it finally disappeared over the horizon. The Phoenix Lights incident made headlines across the country. Many eyewitnesses were convinced that what they saw was not a man-made airplane, but rather an extraterrestrial spacecraft.
Lots of people saw this. You have a lot of general consistency with how this was reported. But you had skeptics saying, well, the thing that people saw going down the state was actually just aircraft. And then a spokesperson from the National Guard made an announcement and said, yeah, those lights that people saw over the city, that was actually flares that we dropped by A-10 Warthog aircraft. Not if you talk to the witnesses. There were a number of witnesses who were quite adamant that this was extraterrestrial. And one of the witnesses, turns out, was actually the governor of the state, Fife Symington.
As a pilot and a former Air Force officer, I can definitively say that this craft did not resemble any man-made object that I'd ever seen.
With the Phoenix Lights phenomena, what's really exciting is that more and more credible people have come forward. All I knew is that it was so beyond anything I ever imagined being here on this earth. To date, the Phoenix Lights phenomena has never been recreated or explained.
While the Phoenix Lights is one of the most extraordinary UFO encounters in history, it is just one of many mysterious sightings that have taken place in the state of Arizona. According to the National UFO Reporting Center, there have been approximately 5,000 UFO reports in Arizona, going all the way back to the 1940s.
On July 7, 1947, William A. Rhodes, an amateur photographer, saw an elliptical metallic object. He managed to capture 2 excellent photographs of this object at very low altitude. And he sent them into the Arizona Republic newspaper, which published them on the front page. And if you look at these photographs, you can see that they show a very solid-looking metallic gray object at low altitude. These photographs have never been debunked, so this is a very important case.
There was what I believe is a genuine UFO crash that occurred in Kingman, Arizona in May of 1953. This was apparently the recovery of a virtually intact downed flying saucer. The witnesses came out, and this was quite a significant case. And then probably the most famous of the many UFO sightings Arizona has had is the Travis Walton abduction experience from 1975 that took place in November of that year and made national news. And so Arizona has its own long history of anomalous activity, for sure.
So that was just a sample of a season 5 episode they did based on Arizona. The Unexplained, hosted by Shatner.
That's some trippy stuff. Definitely.
Is that pretty trippy? Yeah. The Travis Walton affair. Do you want me to mention that real quick? I won't say too much about it. But the Travis Walton affair happened when I was 10 years old. We had just moved from California. Like I said, I was born in San Francisco. My brother and I both, and then both my sisters were born in Arizona. And it was in 1975, and I was still 9 years old at the time, I believe, when it happened. And it was in all the papers and, on early TV and everything. Travis Walton, he was a logger. He worked out of what they call the Apache Sitgreaves National Forest, which is near where I took Suzanne when I came to visit my folks. We drove by, not really where it happened, but pretty close, which is outside of Sholo, which is a town there, Heber and Sholo. So anyway, long story short, Travis Walton goes out with his logging buddies, and they go out there and they see this object. And the object is literally it's hovering very low. And, Travis got curious. So he walks out there. His buddies are telling him, hey, what the hell are you doing? Come back. He's walking out there. All of a sudden he gets hit with a blue ray, whatever it was, some kind of light beam, something that hit him. And then, and they thought he was dead. So his buddies rushed off, and he disappeared for 5 days. He was gone. People kept looking for him. Granted, the forest up there is wide. There's so much land up there. So they went on. They had search dogs. They had people. Couldn't find him for 5 or so days. All of a sudden, he appears out of nowhere on a highway somewhere. He can't recall right away what happened to him, all the time frame that happened to him. But eventually, he took 2 lie detector tests, and he wasn't lying. His buddies, they all took a lie detector test. They weren't lying. So what they saw, what he saw, and then of course he kept complaining about nightmares. He had these, so it was definitely Close Encounters of the Third Kind, or fourth kind. Sorry, fourth kind is when you're kidnapped by, extraterrestrials.
Right.
So all this stuff that he's relating to people over the years, and they trust him because this guy is not lying. Or maybe he went through a deep psychosis. They're not sure what, or a hypnotic state or something, but they do know that something happened to him on some kind of object. He couldn't describe it very well, but it wasn't anything that would have been a military aircraft or anything like that. And to this day, he is still one of the best close encounters of the fourth kind people out there that knows what happened to him, but he can't explain why. And yeah, I mean, it's just it's crazy. It's crazy. We all thought he was nuts. I won't lie. When I was reading the paper about it and stuff, I thought, okay, this guy's yeah, he must have hit his head, did some weird thing, and and then he's all of a sudden he appears out of nowhere, and says, "I'm lost." I don't know what's going on. No, no, but I mean, afterwards, when he's describing the whole incident and everything, and all that time frame he lost, and he's not lying. Yeah, I mean,
Well, I mean, I think the results of a polygraph would just mean that they're confident in what they think they saw, or at least they believe they saw it, whether or not
they believe what they saw.
that's
I
truly
agree.
what happened. Yeah,
Yeah, bizarre. Wow.
it's very much. Yeah, there's stuff out there that we can't explain.
For sure. Yeah,
But I think
there's
it's highly
also
unlikely that we're alone in the universe, so to speak, as far as
oh
intelligent life forms.
yeah, I remember Carl Sagan saying before he passed away. He says until we see an actual body in front of us that we can't explain, and it's like that right there on the table, and it's actual and it's accurate and everything, until we can see that evidence for ourselves or the actual object itself that crashed and did all this stuff, he says we can't really believe that there's other, you know, aliens out there. And I said, come on, dude. I mean, like, I know you're noted, you know, um, scientists, things like that. Well, even Stephen Hawking said there's got to, before he passed, he said there's got to be people out there. He says there's got to be other, beings, not just ourselves. It'd be foolish to think that we're the only beings in the entire universe. That's what he said. I said, yeah, I agree with that. But I mean, there's one other thing too. Um, right around where like I said, right around where the lights had hovered and everything, which was odd. There's a place there. I brought Suzanne by it. It's called Dreamy Draw Dam. That's the one I told you about. It was built by U.S. Corps of Engineers from Los Angeles, not from Arizona, from California. And to this day, there is a hum. It's a distinctive hum, and they've got these. It's weird. This dam is supposed to have water. It doesn't. It has cameras. It has CCTV. It has all this for a dam out in the middle of the desert. That makes no sense. And the urban legend is that just after Roswell, about 2 months after, they had a crash of an object. They didn't know what it was, and it happened someplace close by. Um, to the dam itself where it was built. And they think to this day some of the humming is from the object, from parts of the object still buried within the dam's structure. And we drove by it, and we couldn't explain it. The humming. It wasn't like any other kind of humming I've ever heard of, like a transformer, energy, anything like that. It was very distinctive, but very different. That's the only other thing I remember too from that. So yeah,
Definitely something interesting to look into. Well,
and they covered up that Kingman one really quickly too. That one that happened in '53. Of course, I wasn't there for that, but
right.
but that one they covered up really well. Yeah, they went on another Roswell. All of that, whatever happened out there, uh, disappeared. There's not even evidence. And I've been to Roswell. I didn't get a chance to see the site, but there isn't even evidence of anything that happened out there. Anything that would have gone with the object itself when it crashed is gone in both places. So I don't
Well,
know.
I
It's
think
weird.
this calls for a part two. Maybe something we can collaborate with Dave on the Grassman Chronicles on. I've
Yes.
got to wrap up here real quick because I got a situation brewing. But it was great
Okay,
talking
Justin.
to you, Mikey.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming by. Everybody, check out Mikey Sue's Ford channel, and
Guys.
thank you to I saw a lot of people in the chat this morning. We got Captive Desk, Pixie Storms, Brojo, Cher Wilkes, Halcyonic Kaiju. Somebody else down here. Who am I missing?
Sandy. Sandy. We got
Sandy.
Sandy.
Yes.
Pixie Storms. We've got.
Yeah,
I'm
Pixie
helping
came
you
and dropped a
going
like.
through.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone.
So,
Yeah, and
much
Captain
love to
Desk, we
everybody.
need to. Yeah, we need to get together. Definitely next year for sure. And yeah, like I said, it's not something I will ever forget. So as long as I still have the memories of it and what happened to me, uh, yeah, I'll definitely go over that with you next year, Kevin and Captain Desk. Yeah, we need to do a part 2 on this because there's still a lot to figure out. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, until next time, and I will be able to do these more often now. Much love, be well, and stay trusty, everybody. See you next time.
See you next time, everybody. Peace.